Today I'm going to show you a little bit more in depth of how I do my vapor blasting process. My process here is probably a little bit different than some of the other shops. Everyone has their own way of doing stuff. I have my own way of doing it so I get the best finishes possible. So the job I'm going to be doing here is a Yamaha RD350 that I just got in the other day. And he sent me in 2 cylinders in the heads for them. And you'll see here the cylinder is pretty dark gray, a lot of miles, a lot of weathering on this. You know, it's built up quite a gray oxide layer, and that needs to be cut off there. So the first thing we're going to do is dry blast that with a real fine abrasive to strip that down to the bare metal. Okay, I'm going to show you the process now, and I'm going to turn a cylinder that looks like this into a cylinder that looks like this. These are off the same bike. Same engine, same bike, same year, same everything. Before I start blasting anything, I want to protect the surfaces. Either I'll use electrical tape or pieces of plastic. In a lot of cases with cylinders I'll use foam rubber. Foam rubber is pretty standard practice in tumbling shops to protect surfaces you don't want media to get into. So that's what I use here. Works pretty good. It's a little bit bulky because it sticks out on the side there like that, so you kind of have to work around that. But it's good because whenever you direct your nozzle stream in to a part, it doesn't, hit the other side. Now this cylinder here is pretty rusted and damaged. It's going to be bored out anyways, but I'm just showing you this just to show you how I do this process. On this side here, you can see how it's rusted. Even so, I'll try to make that as tidy as possible. Because I typically go down here in the cylinder, I typically go down in the ports too and clean them up. And I don't want the abrasive stream to go down into the ports and then cross over the cylinder and impact the opposite side of the cylinder and damage it. So it's a good precaution to do something like this. And also, nothing really substitutes just being careful when you're blasting. I mean, after a while you can get to the point where you don't even need to use this stuff here. You can actually, you can be pretty precise, and you can put your hand in the glove in the cylinder and kind of direct the blasting stream away from areas you don't want damaged once you do this a while. But I recommend, you use foam rubber or some sort of barrier at this point. See how it blocks all that? Now I can go in and clean this without worrying about damaging the inside of the cylinder. For a part like this that has these deep fins that are narrowly spaced, you can't get a real good blasting angle in between these fins. It's a very shallow angle. So I typically run higher pressures for a part like this. Sand casting, you don't have to worry about damaging it with higher pressures like you would a carburetor. So I can crank the pressures up pretty good on this to get down in between those deep fins. You can see here it looks a lot better than it did, although it doesn't look nearly as good as it's going to whenever I'm finished with it. But all the dark gray is gone. The type of abrasive I'm using is a real fine abrasive, and it leaves a real light gray finish on most metals, depending on what it is, of course. So what I did is strip the aluminum oxide off and all the crud and carbon, clear down to the parent material, the base aluminum casting alloy. At this point I'm going to clean it, blow out all the blind holes, rinse it off well and put it in the vapor blaster and put the final finish on it. The next part here is relatively straightforward. I have the the cylinder sitting in the vapor blaster right now. And what I need to do is switch on the different functions of the vapor blaster. So first I'm going to turn on the rinse pump switch. It doesn't come on until I turn the nozzle on. That would be this thing here. This is my rinse nozzle. That's what I use to spray stuff with to rinse off the beads. Next I turn on the slurry pump. Slurry jet, actually, I refer to it as. Next I turn on the filter pump. You don't hear it come on right now because it hasn't started yet. It cycles. And then I turn on the light and the windshield wiper at the same time. They're on the same circuit. My other wet blaster I designed is somewhat different than this, and I have them on separate circuits. And there you just heard the filter pump come on. So let's turn the light on and the windshield wiper. And you'll notice too the water coming down the windshield to rinse the glass beads off. That's pretty important. The last thing I do here is turn on the main pump, you would call it, or the nozzle pump. And it looks like water coming out of there, but it's actually a mixture of water and glass beads. And I have a foot pedal for the air, and that's what it looks like whenever you apply air pressure to it. And that is what gives you the finish on your part whenever you propel it with air. Now, depending on the finish I want and what I'm trying to achieve, I can adjust the air pressure accordingly. Here's how it turned out. Turned out pretty nice. Pretty much any lighting condition, these look pretty good. Some of the more duller yellow lights, it doesn't look too great, but under sunlight or fluorescent, it looks really good. So I see it got way down into the fins there. So it turned out good. Sand castings always turn out nice. I mean, they all turn out nice, but sand castings are a little bit brighter. So that's that one, and to compare it, that's what it did look like right there. Okay, if you enjoyed the process, give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel, and I'll be seeing you next video.